All right, we have reached Tribulation Day 140, and the world continues to spiral downwards into chaos. You know, one thing that's being batted about right now by a lot of Christians and believers is this whole concept of rapture. And, I've kind of already stated my position on it, but I noticed on my Tribulation Day 138, we've had a little back and forth between people on this, and, I kind of agree with both sides that on one hand, people planting stakes on the rapture, can, I think, have a negative effect on people as far as their faith. Because if the rapture doesn't happen, I don't know what they do. They're like, oh man, like none of it's true. But on the other hand, I don't have a real problem with the rapture, because I just kind of figure that if there's any validity to it, I would benefit from it. But the one thing I do agree with is that whether you agree with the rapture or don't agree with the rapture, it's just trying to be civil about it, and even though, like one of the comments is, hey, it makes Christians look really stupid when you talk about rapture and then it doesn't happen. And, I can kind of see their point, but, that being said, I just don't think we should beat each other over the head, because there's actually more important things to take into consideration than the rapture. I watched this one guy's video. I didn't link it in or anything. The guy's name is Brother Mike, but he was kind of saying, hey, if you believe in the rapture, you should be out there and sell everything you got and donate it all to the kingdom. And, I kind of told him, and then he said, he kind of guaranteed there won't be a rapture. And I said, dude, you're being as foolish as everybody else, because guaranteeing there won't be a rapture, well, if there is a rapture, nobody's going to be around to collect on your guarantee anyway. And, I also kind of look at it as, if you're a Christian, whether there's a rapture or not, you should probably give away all your money. Jesus said it several times, like when the rich man said, how do I get into heaven? He said, go give away all your money. And the guy actually turned away and walked away disappointed. So it doesn't really matter whether you believe in the rapture or not. If you're a Christian, you should be very generous with your money, because your focus should be not on collecting earthly treasures, but on collecting heavenly treasures. So another point I want to kind of touch on is, to me, the tribulation, whether there's a rapture or not, is the final end chapter of the battle of good versus evil. Because I think those are the forces that are at work in the world today as I look at what's going on. And, the way I look at it is, a term that I use a lot is sinister forces aligning. Because I think that's what's going on. And, the thing about the sinister forces, the evil forces, is they align with each other. Like communism can align with Islam and or even with Christianity or capitalism. There's a lot of sinister forces at work. And I'm not saying Islam or Christianity is evil, but both of them, I'm telling you, have evil forces within them, twisting and distorting the truth. But what you find about evil is they're very willing to align with each other and work with each other, but the weakness of this alignment is that there's no unity. the old saying, united we stand. Well, you know what? Evil is not united, because just the concept of evil in itself is every man for himself. So they align, kind of saying, oh, if we work together, we'll get some of these common goals, like taking over the world, destroying mankind, whatever. But in the long run, each individual evil entity thinks that somewhere along the line it's going to stab the other one in the back and it's going to come out on top. And, so evil, even though they're aligned with each other, they're not unified with each other. Whereas when it comes to the good side, it's kind of the opposite, where I use the term force of one. Because, if you got God on your side, you don't need anybody else on your side. And, if you're on the good side, then you believe in individual accountability for your own words, thoughts, actions, and deeds. And, it's up to each of us individually to be a force of one for God, for the righteous path here on earth, in how we live our lives and go about our business. And, in that perspective, those of us that, are on the good side, we're united, in that purpose of being a force for good. Now, as far as being aligned, we actually tend to not be aligned, like we clash with each other on the rapture, and, then we got these divisions, Pentecostal versus Catholic, and, even Islam versus Christianity. But if you truly have God in your heart, you're unified with anybody else that has God in your heart, because there are certain things you won't do. You won't lie, you won't steal, you won't kill. So in that regard, there's unity that can't be broken. That in the final conflict, that is what will triumph over evil. So I just kind of wanted to bring that up, is that, even though in a lot of aspects we seem to clash heads, there's unity out there as well, and that's what we need to focus on. One last thing before I sign off on this blog today. The window for the so-called Rosh Hashanah rapture is still opened, I guess, until tomorrow morning or so we'll see. I've been doing my own research, and one thing that I've been kind of looking at, and I'm really believing this a lot, is the hybridization. The fact that angels, fallen angels, the Watchers, whatever you want to call them, mated with humans. So there are people on this planet that, and it may be all of us. Just so you want to hear it from me, I could, I could have some of the lineage of the Nephilim, of the fallen angels, because they've cross-mated so much with humankind at this point, it's hard to tell one from the other. But that being said, there are ways to discern, who is on the side of good and who's on the side of bad, even because, we might all be hybrids at this point. But one is what's in a person's heart. If you got God in your heart, that's how you'll go about your daily business in your life, and it'll be reflected and it'll be recognized. Whereas if you don't have God in your heart, that'll be reflected too, because your priorities in life will be on earthly things, carnal pleasure, accumulation of wealth, getting yours and not giving a crap about anybody else getting theirs. But to me, the evil side, they're the ones that have the secrecy, because they're more than willing to blend in with the good side to infiltrate. So evil can act good, if need be. Whereas, good really doesn't infiltrate evil. Good people don't go around acting evil so they can get into the evil side and infiltrate it and take it down. It doesn't work like that. Good people just stay good. We're unified in following the righteous path. But, I found this website, because like I said, one way you can tell the difference between good and evil is what's in a person's heart and how they go about their lives. But, there are other things, like in the Bible, they tell us that these hybrids had physical markers, being giants, having possibly 6 fingers and six toes. There's other concepts that are a little bit more out there, like being shapeshifters or reptilian in nature. But I found this website called male multi-orgasms.com, and I found it just fascinating, because what it kind of tells you is another physical trait of those that have the demon seed or the hybridization, and therefore they might be lost souls, because if you're pure evil, then there's no redemption for you, if you just reject God from day one. But the concept is kind of like regular humans, men. We're talking men here. That when it comes to sex, it's kind of like the concept of wham bam thank you ma'am. That a normal human male, when we have sex, we kind of climax and then it's over, and we have what is known as a male refractory period, where after you've ejaculated, you need to kind of kick back and regain your strength. But the idea here is that the fallen angels, they had this ability where they could stay hard for hours and hours and hours and have multiple orgasms. So it kind of created this unfair advantage as far as having sex with women, because women can have multiple orgasms. And that's why, throughout the ages, they've been kind of hated and hunted by regular humans, is because we don't like the fact that our women are attracted to these kinds of men. And I know that sounds crazy, but what I'll tell you is, years ago, I fought against a guy that claimed to be evil, a warlock, and his girlfriend actually became my ex-wife. But one thing she told me about this guy is, she said, man, he could keep it up for like 2 days straight and have multiple orgasms. And I looked at her and I said, that's not possible. But now after reading this website, I'm thinking maybe there is some truth to this, because it just kind of makes sense. And you'll see, if you look at the artwork and depictions of ancient cultures, they have, erect penises, the kings and the pharaohs and the watchers and whatnot. And, I know this is getting just a little bit, X-rated, but, I got to bring this up. So, that's just something to kind of think about. And then if you look at today's society, the biggest drug out there is Viagra, because even in the ancients of days, humans tried to emulate these demigods, these giants, these hybrid people who were men of renown, and now I look at today's society and we're still trying to do it, where you get Viagra and the commercial says, hey, call a doctor if you have a hard-on for more than 4 hours. But you know what, most guys, we joke, because it's like, hey, isn't that why we're taking the drug? So, I don't know, just another concept to kind of throw at you. I'm going to go ahead and sign off, because I'm almost at the limit here. Going to get my tribulation on. Tomorrow morning we'll see if any kind of rapture happens, but if not, keep the faith. And, think positive, man. All right, rock on.